Open education is a way of carrying out education that is meant to remove barriers. It improves access to education, it is supposed to link formal with non-formal learning and provide students much more access to content, to information, and teachers and learners to be more creative in the education process. The European Commission's Joint Research Centre has developed the Open Edu framework. It is a research study that came up with a framework for higher education institutions in particular to help them to implement their Open Edu strategy. So it's a framework that contains 10 dimensions of open education to include content, the open educational resources, pedagogies, collaboration, strategy, leadership, technology, 10 dimensions in total, in which we give lecturers the possibility to go through all these dimensions and look up possible practices that they can implement in their universities, both at a more strategic level, but also in the teaching level, all meant to make education more inclusive and more open. Recognition in open education is about formally recognizing learning in certificates that are issued by open learning practices. So just to give an example, if a learner takes a MOOC and in the end of this MOOC they are properly assessed by the university and then they have a certificate that is valid, open recognition would be to look at the certificate and validate it for further learning, to accept it as part of a path for a formal route, let's say, of learning in the same institution or in a different institution. But also in terms of employers, quite often employers like to see what sorts of new skills the candidate has, and the recognition of that certificate that comes from open learning is also about recognition, it's about recognizing it. Also in terms of employers, it's about recognizing certificates that are issued via open learning formats such as MOOCs and accept that as valid learning for the proposition of the candidate, whether it's a new job, whether it's a promotion, whether it's just to show that they have a skill or they are being re-skilled, for example. So we are really incentivizing universities to recognize one another's certificates that are provided via non-formal learning, as for example via MOOCs, particularly in the cases in which these certificates carry ECTS, credits that are related to the European credit transfer system. So as long as there are credits attached to this certificate and also that the identity of the learner can be validated, and that there is proper assessment of the learning process, there is actually no reason not to recognize a certificate that comes from non-formal learning activities.